Hey everybody, welcome back to the Plane Trains and Comic Books channel. I'm Matt, and today we're going to review Bunny Mask number 1. Before we get into that, I'd really appreciate if you guys wouldn't mind sharing, subscribing, all that stuff. Let me know, did you guys read this one? It was kind of under the radar, so I hope you guys check it out. And if not, maybe this review will get you there. So let's get into it. All right, so as we can see, Bunny Mask number 1, it's a little bit of a different cover. We see there's a girl with a crazy bunny mask on, and there's blood all over the place. And this is pretty much why I picked it up because it's an Aftershock comic, and Aftershock has been knocking it out of the park with horror titles such as Maniac of New York. There's some other ones that are kind of like I think Out of Body was one of them. It's kind of like psychedelic, stuff. So they're trying, they're trying to really get some horror going, and I appreciate that. So yeah, this one's written by Paul Tobin, and the art is by Andrea Muti, and their art is also in Maniac of New York, and they did stuff for Hellblazers. Let's get into this one right away. It starts off with a what the fuck. We get this dad. It says 14 years ago. This dad is talking to his daughter, and he's like, "Hey, open your mouth like this. I got to do something, and it's going to be uncomfortable, but it has to be done." And then he puts a chisel in his daughter's mouth, and he proceeds to chisel away her teeth, which is horrifying. And then we get, it says 7 miles away. That we get. I guess I don't thought they were detectives at first, but actually they're just like child protective services. She even says the main lady seems to be the one in charge of the more ranked official, and then we see the daughter's name is B Foster, and that's pretty much it. Like we just get like a little. We get the guy's name. His name is Tyler. And then they knock on the door, and they're just checking where she's been for the last 2 weeks because the mom's been dead for 10 years. They say the daughter's been missing for 10 days, or at least from school for 2 weeks, I guess, fully. And so they're just checking on her well-being. And right when they get there, they're like, "Hey, can we ask you some questions?" And the dad just stabs the lady with a branch that he had in his hand, and knocks the guy out, knocks Tyler out. And then Tyler wakes up, and he is in a cave somewhere. And him and B are in the cave, actually. And the dad's just like, "Dig. I want you to keep digging. The voices in my head are telling me to dig." He calls this voice in his head the snitch. And he says, "This is the snitch's cave. And we've been digging here for truth in this mountain for years." And he doesn't know what they're looking for exactly, but he knows they just need to keep digging, according to the snitch. So uh, they do that. He gets a little more introduced to B. She seems a little bit okay with everything. Like yeah, we're both digging in this pit, but I know my dad loves me. She is a little bit brainwashed with all the dad's rhetoric and everything. So um, instead of really fighting back, Tyler is like, "Hey, I'm gonna push forward and figure out a way out of here, but maybe I can tunnel my way out or dig further than expected and get to the other side or something." He doesn't know exactly. He's working here, like I say, day 3, day 4. B was working with them for a while, and then the dad's like, "Hey, actually, B won't be here anymore. The snitch needed her elsewhere," and so he's like, "Oh, you son of a bitch, you killed B." And then he's like, "Fine, I got to get out of here some way." He figures maybe if he just plays along and digs, he'll get somewhere. So day 7, day 17, day 31, and finally he actually gets somewhere. He makes a hole in the wall, and what does he find? But a giant cavern. On the cavern walls, he sees a bunch of like kind of writings or weird symbols, and then rabbit depictions, weird pictographs or whatever. And then then he gets shot in the leg. The dad shoots him in the leg and is like, "What the fuck? You found it, but how did you find it? Did the snitch talk to you too? She's not supposed to speak to anybody but me," kind of thing. And he's like, "What the fuck are you talking about?" And then as they're arguing, someone says hello. And who is it? But it's the weird bunny woman. She's got a bunny mask on, and she got weird like razor fingers and stuff. And she keeps saying like, "Oh, is there sickness? Is there sickness?" And finally, Tyler's like, "Yeah, he's sick. That motherfucker right there is sick." So she's like, "Oh, I'll heal the sickness," and she runs over to him and slices his neck with her fingers. And then she goes back to the shadows for a second, but then promptly comes out as Tyler's trying to escape. She like forms and licks his leg, and it's like, "Blah, blah, 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 blah." And then he passes out because he's like, "What the fuck?" And then wakes up in an ambulance, and he's like, "What happened?" And they're like, "Oh, you tell us. We thought you were dead. You know, it's been like almost a month." And he's like, "Oh yeah, well, like the dad killed my partner and B, and then like he was asking about his leg, and they're like, what do you mean about your leg?" And he looks down, and the leg is like completely healed, so no gun wound. So that's weird. Then we cut to today. It's 14 years later. We see Tyler is he's driving a friend to somewhere, and then he sees an art show, and he looks to the side, and there's just a bunch of rabbit themed things, and he's like, "What the fuck?" And he looks, and there's just all rabbit sculptures, all rabbit paintings, rabbit drawings. It's kind of like a Donnie Darko show in here or something. And he's like, "Oh my gosh!" And then we look, and we find the artist, and he's like, What is this subject you're painting?" And she's like, "Oh, her, yeah, I call her Bunny Mask." And then basically, he looks at her, and he's like, "I feel like we've met." And then she's like, "Oh my god, it's you!" And he's like, "Are you B?" So B apparently didn't die, and that's where we're left. I don't want to spoil the very ending here, so I'm going to leave it there. But some interesting things happen after that kind of spike the interest for the next issue to see where it's going to go. I thoroughly enjoyed that one. It wasn't like the best comic I've ever read, and to be honest, I was actually kind of put off by the cover when I saw it because it just looked like you gotta buy this. It's too crazy. Bunny mask girl with blood all over. What? But then I was like, you know what? I'll get a digital version. We'll try it out. I thought it was a lot of fun. A lot of things happened in a short period of time. The comic was a breeze to read. The art was fantastic. And I'm definitely going to pick up issue 2. So I would say this is like a strong 3.5 out of 5 stars. And yeah, it's a checkout for me. It's a recommend. It's a good time, especially if you like some bloody horror. So yeah, on that note, if you guys wouldn't mind, again, please like, share, subscribe. It really helps the channel out. And comment down below. And we'll see you on the next one.